السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا بفضلك علما. نرحب بكم جميعا في هذا اللقاء الأسبوعي المتجدد بفضل الله سبحانه وتعالى هنا من مدينة الحبيب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. بالأصالة عن نفسي، أنا اسمي دكتور محمد مصطفى محمود، اختصارا يسموني دكتور 3M، وأنا المدير التنفيذي لمعهد مدينة المعرفة للقيادة والريادة، مدينة Institute for Leadership and Entrepreneurship. نرحب بكم في هذا اللقاء، نستضيف فيه سعادة الدكتور أسامة مسلم للتحدث عن موضوع هام جدا، وهو الكواليتي في الهيلث كير، بعنوان What they don't tell you about the quality in the health care. I would like to welcome everyone to this weekly webinar, which we have started almost 2 months ago. Our series in e-health have started, this may be the 9th or the 10th event. As you see in this table, we have finished already all of these, 11th of them, in fact. So Usama Musallam today, Dr. Usama Musallam is number 10. So we have finished already 9. Almost we have been, consistent. 1 webinar per week, very rich topics, very experienced speakers. The videos, the video recording of all of these events can be obtained from my YouTube channel. These are the topics which we covered so far, and as you see, the total number of registrations in our webinar so far is 7,600, and 4,000 have attended these webinars. And as you see, they came from different diverse countries, including Philippines, Pakistan, Somalia, United States, Bangladesh, Australia, and so on. But the majority, as you see, are from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This is where our database is. And I encourage everybody, when they receive our invitation, to share it with their colleagues. So inshallah, they will all benefit. This event is sponsored by tip.com and Digitum. Tip.com is a virtual clinic. It's a new software, and tip.com, they are pioneer in healthcare, in computer, technology development. In fact, very soon we will be launching our next high-performance healthcare organization training program. This is the highest level leadership development program, which have been taking place in MILE for several years now. And in the past 4 editions, we have 270 senior executives participated in this program. We call it HPHO, High Performance H Organization, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And these are samples of the organization which have sponsored or contributed to our programs in the past. These are samples of the speakers who came to Medina and they contributed to our program. They include professors from Harvard, from Toronto University, from University of Dubai, from Washington State University, from INSEAD and IMD and Siemens and World Health Organization. Very well selected group of speakers. Of course, we have also Dr. Usama Musallam from Boston University and the American University in Cairo, who is our guest today, participating in this program. The next event, inshallah, takes only place once a year for 60 days. It starts on Saturday 19th, and every single day we have one speaker speaking in depth about one topic. Of course, the experience is very rich because we include the online psychometric and coaching and many activities. This is a calendar for the upcoming event, inshallah, in March 19th. As you see, it starts on Saturday and finishes on Wednesday. But on Thursday, usually we organize a big event, a forum or a conference here in Medina, and we have big crowd of healthcare professionals who join us into these events. So I encourage anybody who would like to build his competencies in executive education, in executive and leadership, to take advantage of this. This will be in the last third week of Sha'ban, right before Ramadan. So it's a good opportunity for people who would like to come and visit Medina in this time. Next, Zafar. This is our presentation today. Will be delivered by Dr. Osama Musallam. Frankly, even before going through his very rich experience and credential, what we admire most in Dr. Osama Musallam really is his character, being so humble, very nice personality, very gentle. He always touches us whenever he comes to Medina and meet us with his kind personality and the noble character. Dr. Osama Musallam is a TQM doctor in the American University of Cairo. He specialized in TQM, Total Quality Management. He's also specialized in healthcare management, professor of healthcare management at Boston University in USA. He's a professor of strategic planning at the Arab Academy for Science and Technology and the Maritime Transport. Dr. Osama is a co-founder and the board member of the Scientific Council of the Egyptian Medical Board for Hospital Management, Al-Zamala Al-Masriya in Egypt. Dr. Osama has more than 25 years of experience at international, regional, and the national level in healthcare management, policies development, teaching and management of hospitals and healthcare projects. He was a training consultant at Harvard University in Egypt and has worked as management international advisor consultant for the UN agencies, several of them in fact, WHO, UNFPA, European Union, USAID, IPPF, and GICA. He has coordinated and contributed in more than 300 healthcare management related conferences and workshops at regional and international level. Presently, he teaches strategic management, operational planning, TQM, Six Sigma, negotiation skills and logistics for postgraduate programs in healthcare and hospital management. Dr. Musallam is a co-founder and a board member of the Scientific Council of the Egyptian Medical Board for Hospital Management. He is a vice president and the board member at 57357, a children cancer hospital, a very reputable project in Egypt. I hope he will have the opportunity to tell us a little bit about it. Without further ado, I don't want to take so much time from Dr. Osama Musallam. Please turn off any other application you might be using. And if you have any questions, put them in the chat and direct them to the host and the panelists. So at the end of the presentation, Dr. Osama Musallam will do his best, inshallah, to answer them. I would just like some of the participants to kindly confirm that they can hear and see me well by just writing in the chat that, to confirm that if they can see and hear me well. Okay, shukran. Mr. Mazin and Mrs. Reem, thank you so much. Mr. Najib Azhar, he's one of our faculty who will be with us in Medina. He confirmed it all the way from San Francisco. Thank you so much. And I will leave the floor now to Dr. Osama Musallam, and my colleague, Mr. Qazi Zafar, will do the moderation and the closing at the end of this presentation, inshallah. Dr. Osama, welcome to Mile, and we hope to see you in Medina, inshallah, in 4 or 5 weeks from today. We can see you, Dr. Osama. Your video is on, and your presentation also, we can see it as well. So you can go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Muhammad Mustafa, for the kind presentation and introduction. It is my pleasure and honor to be with Mile again. It is my pleasure to introduce the topic of the webinar tonight, what they don't tell you about quality. as long as you see me, listen to me, and you can see the slides, we can go further.
Yes, go ahead, inshallah.
Okay. Actually, the origin of the title of my presentation related to a very interesting book published by a very famous graduate of Harvard Business School. The cover of the book was "What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School." He meant that during our professional experiences, we may gain a lot of knowledge and dimensions not mentioned in the academic life. This is what happened with me in the area of quality. What they don't tell you about quality, in this webinar, I'm not going to raise questions. I'm going to raise questions more than giving answers. During this webinar, I'm going to raise debatable and controversial issues more than stating facts. So let us think about these issues, and not necessarily to agree about it, but let us think about it. This is very interesting. Reunion after 25 years from graduation. It happened at Harvard Law School, and the outcome of this reunion was a very interesting book. Part of it, the author said, it has taken me 25 years to unlearn what I learned at Harvard Law School. This is very strong statement. And actually, I liked a lot the verb unlearn. Why? Because what I learned at Harvard, which is expected, is that all that counts in life are facts. Who is right? Who is wrong? It has taken me 25 years to learn that just as important as facts, if not more important, are people's perception of those facts. So it's a matter of perception, more important than the fact itself. This is what we are going to deal with in the area of quality in healthcare. What is our agenda for the webinar for tonight? We are going to talk about what's called the elephant theory. We are going to go through the dilemma of defining quality. We are going to discuss that Six Sigma hospitals are not Six Sigma. Why Walt Disney in healthcare quality? And finally, what is the relation between Alfred Nobel and healthcare? Let us start by the elephant theory. It is a very famous story in the literature, documented by so many people, including John Sachs, in a very famous poem called The Blind Man and the Elephant. He said, it was 6 men of Hindustan, to learning much inclined, who went to see the elephant, though all of them were blind, that each by observation might satisfy his mind. This is a very good drawing for the 6 blind men and the elephant. The one who touched the trunk of the elephant said the elephant is a wall. The man who touched the tail said the elephant is a rope. Who touched the leg said the elephant is a tree, and so on. Definitely, none of them was a liar, but definitely none of them really described properly the elephant. So we need to integrate the different parts of the puzzle in order to see the full picture. Stephen Covey once said, "We see the world not as it is, but as we are, or as we are conditioned to see it. It is a matter of perception." Quality is our elephant, and we are the blind men. Let us go through so many definitions for quality. Everyone describing a specific perspective. It is really a dilemma. Some of the best definitions of quality were given by non-quality people. Non-quality, completely not related to quality. Let us start by Helen Keller. We know that Helen Keller was blind, deaf, and mute. She got graduated at the age of 24. She said something very interesting regarding the quality of life. It will not just, I will not just live my life. I will not just spend my life. I will invest my life. This is quality of life. Helen Keller was born prematurely. And at that time, they used to put the baby, the premature baby, inside an incubator with very high level of oxygen, because the baby in the incubator needs more oxygen, but to a certain extent. Beyond this, it was the main reason for her to lose the sight. So sometimes, as Molière, the famous French writer, said, most men die of their remedies and not of their illness. Maybe we disagree, but it's very interesting to think about it. Helen Keller said something wonderful regarding the definition of quality. She didn't say that this is quality, but she said that I long to accomplish a great and noble task, but it is my chief duty to accomplish humble tasks as though they were great and noble. The world is moving along not only by the mighty shows of its heroes, but also by the aggregate of the tiny pushes of each honest worker. This is tiny push. This is quality. Really, it's a wonderful photo for example of small activity indicating quality. Again, the dilemma of definitions of quality. Salvador Dali, one of the most famous painters in the 20th century, said something very important, but we can link it to quality. He said, quality have no fear of perfection. If we said quality is perfection, he said, have no fear of perfection. You will never reach it anyway. So let us go for perfection. Einstein said something very important related to standards. He said, not everything that can be counted counts. Aristotle, 322 years before Christ, said perfect definition of quality. He called it excellence. He said excellence is an art won by two things, training and habituation. We are what we repeatedly do. This is the importance of habituation. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. This is a wonderful definition for quality and sustainability of the culture of quality. Philip Crosby, a landmark in quality, in history of quality, has a very famous book called Quality is Free. And he justified why quality is free. However, when we look to the last budget of the only superpower in the world, USA, we are going to discover that almost a quarter, 25% of the budget for healthcare, Medicare and Medicaid, 10% more than the national defense of the only superpower in the world. So Philip Crosby said that quality is free. It is not a gift, but it is free. What costs money are the unquality things, all the actions that involve not doing jobs right first time. However, I may dare to say quality is not free. Quality is expensive. But it is less expensive, definitely, than unquality. But it is expensive. We faced COVID-19 in the more than 2 years now. It cost a lot of money, and still it costs a lot of money for PPE, for service provider, vaccination, treatment of cases. Yes, quality. I may say that quality is expensive. 40%, 1/4 of the budget of USA going for healthcare. Coronavirus is putting the quality of healthcare systems in the world to the test. Every one of us already recall what happened in New York more than 2 years ago, and the challenge of having a ventilator in New York or in Italy in general. So coronavirus is putting the quality of healthcare systems in the world to the test. Quality is not just simply having JCI. Most of the hospitals in USA got JCI. Philip Crosby again defined the quality as conformance to requirements. Let me tell you something funny, but it has its indication. A professor at Harvard asked his students to write a short story with very few words. And he put some conditions or instructions that such short story had to contain the following three things: religion, sexuality, and mystery. Religion, sexuality, and mystery. This is the only student that got A+. What did she write? Good God, I am pregnant. I wonder who did it. Religion, sexuality, and mystery. And so we have a wonderful short story. This is conformance to requirements. So conformance to requirements is not necessarily produces quality. The father of management, Dr. Peter Drucker, in his research, he said that the single most important need of a patient is assurance. We have to consider this as a very important dimension in quality. Another definition, quality is standards. And Einstein, as we mentioned, said not everything that can be counted counts. Dr. Deming said something very deep, the father of quality, W. Edwards Deming. Learn to probe behind the numbers, knowing that numbers don't give you the answers, only the question that need to be asked. Jack Welch in General Electric. Jack Welch, according to Fortune magazine, they put it as the most admired CEO in US history. And during 15 years of his work as a CEO of General Electric, they put Fortune magazine, General Electric, as the most admired company in US history. From his perspective and experience, he said that the customers does not feel the mean, the average. The customer feels the variance. This is another very important dimension in quality. So now we have what's called quality-centered hospitals. And the main focus is the customer, the patient. A CEO in Connecticut put a policy which is very interesting regarding in healthcare, the patient-centered hospital. He's actually one of the world's largest dairy store, has two simple rules for employees. Rule number one, the customer is always right. Rule number two, if the customer is ever wrong, reread rule number one. So quality is customer satisfaction. Let us go to Disney. We said, what is the relation of Walt Disney and quality? The relation, what can we learn from Mickey Mouse? In fact, a lot. A very professional person worked for decades in healthcare. shift his career from hospitals to Disney. And as a result, he wrote a very interesting book called If Disney Ran Your Hospital. What if Disney ran your hospital? He put 9 things and a half that you would do differently. It's very interesting, definitely not the 9, but the half. The half was to define your competitors. And in some perspectives, he put that you have to consider yourself as your first main competitor. The mission statement for Disney is very interesting, very smart, making people happy, period. Very clear, up to the point. Maybe for many of us in the Middle East, I am from Egypt, USA is far away, but some figures can give us an indication. In 2010, the number of visitors for Disney was 118 million. And I think before Corona, it had raised to 150 million people per year. While all the people attending the World Cup, for example, in 2010 in South Africa, 350,000. So Disney is something in quality and in customer satisfaction. We can learn a lot in healthcare from Disney, and this is a very interesting book, how to gain wonderful insights for quality from Disney. Dr. Deming, the father of quality, once said, dissatisfied customers don't complain, they switch. Nowadays, all of us are aware that dissatisfied customers complain and switch. His perspective that at Disney, satisfied customers not necessarily loyal. And he said something very interesting and very debatable. He said a hospital is the hospital's primary customer is the physician, not the customer, not the patient. Again, a hospital's primary customer is the physician. This is not the common understanding in quality. He said, technically speaking, hospitals don't have patients. Physicians do. In his book, What If Disney Ran Your Hospital? He said, hospitals exist to take care of physicians' patients. So this is a very interesting book. Patients come second. Who is going to be first? Service providers. It is very debatable, but we may think about it, especially with Corona, with the number of victims from service provider during Corona pandemic. What he said in patients come second, and I know it's very controversial. I know that most people working in quality, they have what's called patient-centered hospital, and patients come first, definitely. But let us listen and try to think about it. Far too frequently, patients leave doctors' office or hospital feeling confused, angry, or neglected. This is what the author said in Patients Come Second. Healthcare leaders recognize this problem, but in their focus on patients and maybe finance, they often overlook the true key to lasting patients' loyalty and satisfaction, the healthcare providers. We don't need to necessarily agree on that, but it is an invitation to think about it, okay? We talked about in our agenda, what is the elephant theory, the definition dilemma. Let us talk about Six Sigma in hospital, and that it is not exactly Six Sigma. How come? We know that Six Sigma simply is to have 3.4 defects per million opportunities. Jack Welch in General Electric said something very interesting. Six Sigma is the most training thing we have ever had. Not that it is better than going to Harvard Business School. It teaches you how to think differently. He said that Six Sigma has changed the DNA of General Electric. And they believed in that customers feel the variance, not the mean or the average. Three of the main hospitals in USA, America's premier healthcare institutions, the Johns Hopkins, Mayo Clinic, the New York Presbyterian Hospital, used Six Sigma in healthcare, and they shared their experiences in Six Sigma. Definitely with ultimate goal, patient care. That was a long time ago, since 2008. Why Six Sigma in healthcare? It started in the industry. Definitely, we need Six Sigma or Lean Six Sigma in healthcare more than the industry. If something went wrong, defect in a product, it's not a disaster. But what about operating in the wrong eye? Operating in the wrong side of the brain? It happened recently. Amputation in the wrong side, or operating in the wrong organ, or wrong patients. Definitely, we need Six Sigma or Lean Six Sigma. It's going to improve lab turnaround times, reducing appointment waiting time, decreasing steps in the supply chain. However, actually, they are not working in the level of Six Sigma statistically. That's 3.4 defects per million. So what is available that most of the very good hospitals working or operating in the level of 4 Sigma, and very, very few in the level of 5 Sigma. But they use definitely the methodology, the DMAIC methodology, and the body of knowledge for Six Sigma. But recently, July 2021, there was a research, a paper published in the International Journal of Lean Six Sigma, reconsidering Lean Six Sigma in healthcare after COVID-19 crisis. And very interesting that the purpose of this study reflect a kind of not supporting data related to using Six Sigma. The study done in Holland, and the study was related ramifications of 2 decades of Lean Six Sigma implementation in Holland in the light of COVID-19 pandemic. The authors provide an evaluation of the impact of COVID-19. Actually, they had 2 challenges: cut capacity and flexibility, which are needed to deal with some demand shocks, such as during pandemic of COVID-19, and a strong focus on cost reduction, Lean Six Sigma. So there is no high level, we don't have high flexibility to deal with something urgent and crisis like COVID-19. The study emphasized its limitations. The research focuses on Netherlands, and so generalization might be limited. However, using Six Sigma in healthcare, in many hospitals in different countries, found broad acceptance. So the implication will carry over to other countries. Okay. I think for the time, let us go to the last point. Alfred Nobel and healthcare quality. In April 2015, we are talking about 6 or close to 7 years ago, Denmark to stop hospital accreditation. Why? It was very clear. Quality work must be simplified and focused. The time has come to strengthen by putting patients at the center rather than focusing on compliance with a variety of standards. Accreditation has been justified and useful, but we move on to the national program. Actually, accreditation to quality improvement in the Danish National Quality Program, from accreditation to the National Quality Program, NQP. This is another thing to think about it. Are we going to continue for accreditation or to think about something different? Especially in some countries, the performance of hospitals slightly going down after accreditation. Mother Teresa said once, today it is fashionable to talk about the poor. Unfortunately, it is not fashionable to talk with the poor. The same for healthcare. I feel it in some places, not everywhere. Today, it's very fashionable to talk about GCI standards, CPHQ, ISO, standardization, accreditation. Unfortunately, it's not fashionable to talk with patients. Peter Drucker said, the single important dimension is assurance. Accreditation is just a tool. It's not an objective in itself. In Denmark, they went through phasing out accreditation of public hospitals in Denmark. From my modest perspective, I see quality as starting from the heart. Values, beliefs, ethics, morals, commitment. Then going to the brain, philosophy, concept, theories, principles. The last part, standards, guidelines, manuals, protocols, processes. Having the hands in absence of having heart content and brain content wouldn't lead us to quality. I think quality is like an iceberg. The visible part, standards, accreditation, etc. The invisible part, culture. This is the visible part of the culture, and this is the invisible part of the culture. Peter Drucker, the father of quality, of modern quality, once said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. I may dare to say that culture eats quality for lunch. I would like to end my presentation by Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa, born in Ottoman Empire, went to India, stayed there her whole life, and died in India. Mother Teresa won Nobel Prize in 1979 for peace. She has so many nice quotes, actually. Once she said, "What can you do to promote world peace? Go home and love your family." She went to Sweden to have the Nobel Prize, and she invited her to attend and to go to a house for elderly people in Sweden. And she said in her presentation, "I never forget an opportunity I had in visiting a home where they had all these old parents of sons and daughters who had just put them in an institution and forgotten." Maybe I'm just saying what exactly she said. And I went there and I saw in that home, they had everything, beautiful things. But everybody was looking towards the door. And I didn't see a single smile. I didn't say a single one with their smile on their face. And I turned to the sister and asked, "How is that? How is that the people, they have everything here? Why are they looking towards the door? Why are they not smiling? I am so used to see the smile on our people." She meant India, not East Europe. Even the dying one smile. The sister said, "This is nearly every day. They are expecting, they are hoping that a son or daughter will come to visit them. They are hurt because they are forgotten." and see this is where love comes. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Osama. Jazakallah khair. The presentation, I mean, you have very beautifully explained the concept of what they told you about the total quality management. So let's go to the question and answers. I am just reading out some couple of questions here. Dr. Najib Hussain is asking a question like, in healthcare, who is your customer?
Yes, I said usually most of the courses of quality talking about patients and their family as the customer. But I would like just to raise a different perspective, that some people saying that physicians, nurses, technicians, the service provider in general may be the first customer. And in order to satisfy the patient, we have to satisfy first the service provider. I'm not asking everybody to accept such perspective, but at least to think about it, okay? Maybe you are going to have two first customers, the patient and the service providers.
Excellent, that's perfect, Doctor. So the next question is how to change the culture for quality. That's very interesting, I guess. Right? How to change the culture of the quality.
This is, it doesn't need a webinar, actually. It is a course for change management. It couldn't be done overnight, but as Aristotle said, training and habituation. He said that excellence, he meant quality, is not an act. It is a habit. Once we have the habit to do quality, we are going to do it without any kind of hesitation or thinking. From my perspective, it is very good training and habituation, but still, if we are talking about change of the culture in general, it needs, if we are going to talk about, for example, Kurt Lewin model regarding unphrasing, change, and rephrasing. And actually, another very interesting author or book about change is called Leading Change by James O'Toole. He put something like more than 30 reasons for resisting the change. And it's very important for any leader in healthcare to understand why people, patients or service providers resist change before trying to make the change.
We have a couple of more questions, Dr. Osama. The last two questions. The question is, how do you see the future of Lean Six Sigma in the light of unprecedented changes that came amid COVID-19 regarding the responsiveness of the healthcare systems to global crisis?
Yes, actually, in the research, the research, Dutch research, they put some key points for how to make Lean Six Sigma more flexible and less focusing on cost reduction. We are in a very special, different setting with COVID-19 pandemic, which necessitates a different approach for Lean Six Sigma.
Thank you, Doctor. And the next question is there any criteria to be a patient-centered institution?
Yes, actually, a lot of articles about patient-centered hospital, but actually what I'm offering in this webinar something different. I'm talking about service providers centered hospitals, which is, you may disagree, but I think you may think about it. It is again, is the mainstream in quality by having patient-centered hospital.
Disclaimer, Doctor. The next question is it right to start the quality journey with confirming what's critical to quality? And have you ever experienced, is it right to start the quality journey with confirming what's critical to quality? And have you ever experienced a shift in quality concept since the COVID pandemic?
Yes. What I would like to emphasize in this webinar, the importance of understanding the culture before starting the journey for quality. It's very important to put the concept of the iceberg, the visible part of the culture and the invisible part of the culture. And as Peter Drucker said, for strategies that culture eats a strategy for breakfast, I would go, as I mentioned, that culture eats quality for lunch.
Mumtaz, Doctor. So I think this is the last question. We can go now. The question is, how can we evaluate quality of work if we omit the accreditation process? Is there any alternatives? Do we have any alternatives? How can we evaluate the quality of work?
Quality of work in healthcare?
Healthcare, yeah. If we omit the accreditation process, how can we evaluate
that? Yes, this is what happened in Denmark. They excluded phasing out the accreditation, and they put a national program with very specific strategies and targets and objectives to achieve apart from accreditation. So if you are really interested, go ahead and read more about the Denmark experience in phasing out accreditation.
So the last question, Dr. Miles, this will be the last, inshallah, because we have got only 2 minutes time. The question is about applying quality versus improving the culture. So she's asking, is it better to start with applying quality regulations in my organization or start with improving the culture among the employees?
I'm not clear about the question. Applying what?
Applying quality regulations versus improving the culture among the employees.
Culture first or policies and regulation first?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the clarification. Definitely from my modest perspective, start by culture. Culture eats quality for lunch.
Breakfast or lunch?
Peter Drucker said for breakfast for strategy. No. I just modified what Peter Drucker said regarding strategy. So I'm saying that culture eats quality for lunch.
For lunch. So we can quote from now on Dr. Osama Musallam.
Oh, he is Peter Drucker. Okay. Okay. It was a really pleasure for me to contribute in a weekly webinar for MILE. It is a very respected organization, and I contributed, I think, maybe in 3 or 4 of its annual activities in leadership. And I would like to thank all the audience and all the organizers, and I would like to thank Dr. Muhammad Mustafa.
Jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much, Dr. Osama. And maybe the audience have sensed what I have stated in the beginning, your good quality and manners and modesty. It's something that we all enjoy and appreciate. I hope everyone has benefited from this presentation. I would like you to continue joining us, share the link with your colleagues. Sure. You know, sharing this, inshallah, you will share the rewards as well. And we look forward to see you in Medina on the 19th of March, second week of Sha'ban, or third week of Sha'ban. Inshallah, Dr. Osama will be there in person, and many others of our colleagues. And Zafar, if you put the link for the website where they can download the brochure for the Leadership Development Program for Healthcare Leaders, you know, maybe they will, you know, people who might be interested, they can check out the program, the content, and download the brochure as well. Thank you, Dr. Musallam, and thank you, everybody, and Jazakumullah kull khair. And the video recording is in our YouTube. Please feel free to share it with others. Jazakumullah kull khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.